third graders, and welcome to our October 7th recorded lesson. And I want to apologize in advance. I have all kinds of noise going on around me. I have some cars going by that are playing loud music, a dog that wants to bark, telephones that are ringing. So please excuse my video lack of etiquette today. But today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at page 5 of our grammar workbook. So if you don't have that, go ahead and hit pause. I hope you like the video. I'm trying to put both me and the PowerPoint in this time. We'll see how it goes. So hit pause, go get your worksheet, and then come back because we're going to finish exercises 3 and 4 because we didn't get to do those in class the other day. So I'm going to assume that you now have your worksheet, and we're going to go ahead and begin with exercise 3. So you'll notice up here, exercise 3. Now I have put all of the questions, there's 11 of them, and I've put them each on a different slide. And so we can talk about them briefly because I don't just want to zoom through, I want to actually explain some things that we haven't already learned. So when we talk about number 1, all the predicate parts, we have to look for something that is going to have the predicate, which we also know as the verb, and other things that might come along with it, like words that describe it more. Remember, adverbs and adverbs hang out with verbs. So what we want to do is find like a big group of words or a complete group of words. So as we look down our list, we want to find something that might work with that. And I believe that if we go all the way down to J, we're going to find the right answer, the complete predicate. So in number 1, you want to put J. And now from now on, if you see this definition, all the predicate parts, you know that that is J. So you're going to be following along, filling in the letters in the blanks, and we're going to go in order. So hopefully it's not too fast, but you can always pause it. Now our second one, this one should be super easy. Adjective modifies. And we all know what adjectives hang out with, so I shouldn't even need to help you. So I want you to go down and I want you to find something that you think might be what an adjective modifies. And I want you to put it in, and then I'll show you the answer in just a second. So you work down that list and check everything, and you want to find out what adjectives hang out with. So look down that list, put something in the blank, and here's the answer. Hopefully you put G, noun or pronoun, because we know that adjectives hang out with nouns and pronouns. Now let's look at number 3. Now, we know that we have to ask certain questions, and I've asked them in a certain way, but there's some other ways that you can ask. And for the verb question, there's only a couple of questions here. So let's look and see what has question marks beside it. The word who, then B, what is being said about, has a question mark, and the word what. So we have 3 choices there. Now, when we have a subject in a sentence, we always want to know what's being said about it. So that would be our verb question. What is being said about Sally or Tommy? What is Tommy doing? We want to find out what's being said about them. So our verb question is going to be B. What is being said about? Now let's move to number 4, a word that usually starts the complete predicate. So we want to look down here and we want to find something that we know is going to start the complete predicate. Now the predicate is another word for verb. We know that we're going to have verbs and adverbs in the predicate. Well, what do you think might start the predicate? Now, if you've looked down that list and you guessed verb, you are right. So our verb starts the complete predicate. All right, let's move down to number 5. And we want to do a subject question. Now we've only got 2 questions left. We have who and we have what. Now this one says the subject question for an animal, place, or thing. Which one do you think's better? Who or what? Well, probably what. So D is what's going to fill that one in. Now the next one, number 6, an article adjective can be called. I don't think we've ever talked about this. But every time we see an article adjective, remember, those are a, and the. Every time we see one of them, they are going to be buddied up right next to a noun. So we can call that a noun marker. If you see one of those words, a noun will be right next to it. So number 6 is H, noun marker. Now let's move on to number 7. And number 7, it says noun. We have to define a noun. Now you guys should be super good at this by now. So you should be able to look down here and find that definition. I want you to do that. And I want you to fill it in. And I'll give you the answer right now. If you put person, place, or thing, you were right. Number 8 is the subject question. We only have 1 question left. And this one has to be for a person. We're not going to say what for a person. We're going to use who. So let's put number or put A next to who. Or next to 8, excuse me. Now let's move on to 9. A punctuation for a declarative sentence. Again, this is something you guys should know. So I want you to look down that list and hopefully you can find it. There's only 1 punctuation on this list. So if you put E period next to number 9, you are correct. Now number 10 says an adverb modifies. Now we've talked about what nouns hang out with, or what adjectives hang out with, and what adverbs, adjectives, we've talked about what they all hang out with. What does an adverb hang out with? Well, it's in the word adverb. So you should look down the list and you should be able to find K. An adverb hangs out with a verb, adjective, or adverb. The verb was the first clue. And we've only talked about verbs, but adjectives and adverbs can hang out with those with an adverb. So it's kind of a little family thing going on there. All right, let's look at the next one, an exclamatory sentence. So we have to figure out, if you haven't figured out that you've used all of these, and I suggest that you cross them out as you go, then you know that you have shows strong feeling left, and that's F. So see, this wasn't so hard. If you had to do it on your own the first time, it might be a little hard, but I want you to try to remember, if you get confused on any of these, you can always come back to this video and take a look. Now I want to go down to the next section, which is exercise 4, and we're going to answer some questions. And I want you to try to do them yourself first, and then you can click, or then I'll click onto the answer. So the first one is, what are the 3 article adjectives? And I just referred to them in a previous slide. So I want you to hit pause, and I want you to write down the 3 article adjectives. Now if you've come back, then I assume you've written down a, and the. If you forgot what they were, then I want you to take a minute to fill in your blanks with those words. And at any point, if I'm going too fast, you can just pause the video. So just grab your mom and say, how do I hit pause on this? Because you can hit pause, you can rewind it, you can move it. Well, don't move it forward because then my feelings would be hurt. All right, the next one. We want to name 2 things that nouns can do. Now, one of them I'm sure you're going to get very quickly, but the other one we've only talked about briefly. So I want you to take a second and write down the jobs that a noun can do in a sentence. And like I said, you may only be able to think of one. That's okay. But hit pause, write down what you know, and then we'll look at the answer in just a second. So hopefully you figured out that the noun is, there's always going to be a subject to noun in any sentence. So when we write SN, that's subject to noun. It's a job that the noun is doing. Direct objects are also nouns. An object of the preposition, which we just talked about the other day but haven't talked about a lot, is another noun job. We'll actually talk about a lot more throughout the year. But those are two nouns, or I put three, but you can write any of those. So hit pause and write down the two that you want. Now, number 14 is what word tells what the subject does. We always need to know two parts of the sentence. What is the subject and what is the subject doing? So what is that word that tells what the subject does? Hopefully you know, and that would be the verb. So write down verb if you didn't get that. And then the last one, what are all the parts in the subject of a sentence called? Now we talked about the big group of words for predicate, and we called it a complete predicate. So guess what? We're going to call this the complete subject. So if you didn't get that, write it down. We've not talked about it a lot, but these are all words that you need to be familiar with. So hopefully now you are almost finished exercise 1. We are finished exercise 3 and 4. And now we're going to learn something brand new. And I really had fun putting this together. But what we're going to learn about next is something called homonyms. So while I'm talking about it, I'm going to switch the video over to the cover of the PowerPoint. And I want to talk about homonyms because they're a very special word in the English language. There are a lot of words that are pronounced the same, but they have different meanings. And this really confuses people that are trying to learn the English language. One of those samples is the word son, like my sons are Seth and Wesley. I have 2 sons. But then there's also, and that one is spelled S-O-N, then there's also the sun, our star that shines in the sky and keeps us warm. And then sometimes in the winter it kind of fades off a little bit and makes us a little cold. But I'm sure you'll talk about that in science. Anyway, that sun is spelled S-U-N. 2 words that sound exactly the same but are spelled differently are called homonyms. And we are going to take a look at some. And so you're going to be working on exercise 5. And we're going to do all 6 of those. And I have these cute little pictures to help you figure out which word you need to circle. Both of the words are in parentheses. So you will see in number 16 it says, the sun is very bright today. You have to choose one of those. Now I have spelled them out on your screen for you. And so you need to look up there and you need to figure out which one is going to work and which one you're going to need to circle. So take a minute to look at the screen and hopefully you recognize that sun, S-U-N, is the one you need to circle for 16. Now let's go to 17. And here we have, we love our new kitten. Well, I know it might be a little bit hard to see, but we've got a family and the little girl is holding a kitten. That word hour, O-U-R, and then hour like on a clock. If I asked you what hour is it on the clock, on this clock, it would be 3 o'clock. So you need to figure out, we love our kitten, this spelling, or we love our kitten, this spelling. Which one? Well, hopefully you realize that here's the little family holding a kitten. They would say it's our kitten. So this is the correct one, O-U-R. Then the next one, I hope you like the little pictures that I found. The next one, my sister is going to write a letter tonight. We have two different ways to spell write, W-R-I-T-E and R-I-G-H-T. R-I-T-E, W-R-I-T-E is a pencil and a paper, writing. If you see this kind of write, it means turn right or do the right thing. And so you have to choose which one. Which one is our sister doing? And if you chose W-R-I-T-E, then circle that. Next, we have the small cut will heal. There's two kinds of heel. The first one is the one on your foot. That heel, like sometimes you step down on something, it really hurts. But then we also have a Band-Aid here to represent that if you cut your finger, it will heal. And a lot of times it will heal with the help of a Band-Aid. So H-E-E-L and H-E-A-E-A-L. So you have to choose which one you want to use. And if you chose H-E-A-L, you were right. So circle that one. Next, I want to hear this song. Now, there's two different kinds of hears, H-E-R-E, and so if I point to a place on the map, I would say you are here. But if I spell H-E-A-R, that means I'm going to listen with my ear. I want to hear something. So which one do you need to choose for I want to hear this song? If you chose H-E-A-R, you were right. So circle that. And finally, we have I can't see well at night. And so we have here two different kinds of C's, S-E-E, which means I can see you, and S-E-A, which means where we go to the beach. It could be called a sea, it could be called an ocean. But in this case, we have to figure out, I can't see well at night. Is it S-E-A like the water or S-E-E like the eyeballs? If you chose S-E-E like the eyeballs, you were right, so circle that. So what I would like for you to do is I want you to put your name on the top of this paper. It is going to go into your folder. It's going to go into your folder so that next week when we get to school on Monday, you can pull it out right away because we're going to start working on the back of it. You will not turn this in yet, but we will start working on the back. And so make sure that gets into your folder and we'll finish it up and start on the back part. So I want you to take about a 5-minute break. Obviously you do not need to take a mask break, but take a break and then come back for our IEW video, and I will try to keep that one short and sweet. So we'll see you in a minute, but it is a different video, so make sure your mom clicks on a different video. This one is finished.